was the time I was able to drive myself. I could
Yeah.
drive. So, I know, I'd be seeing her. I know her before she got married. Like, she was from Ballyan, as they call the town, halfway between Bruff and Kilmallock, you know.
Uh-huh.
Her husband,
Yes.
John Murphy, that I married.
Yeah.
And her brother, I mean.
Ah, right, she's your sister-in-law.
My sister-in-law.
Yeah.
So she said, is she coming to see me? And he came out and he said, is she coming to see me? Because just I said a few days. Well, if you'd like to come to see, I'll come for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, all right. So I went to see her, and then, he rang another day, and he said that she got a bad turn, she's not so good. Would you like to come to see her? That was more or less to say goodbye, you know.
Yes, the long.
So I said I will, and he came for me and took me back, and she wasn't as bad as I thought. Like she was all covered up, but then she spoke. Not much talk. So I said, look, I won't be staying long now. She's tired now to be talking. And we came out to the kitchen for the cup of tea, and they brought her out in a wheelchair, and she sat at the table. It was very alert to what we were saying.
Yeah.
So then on Easter Sunday morning, I was about to go to Mass, and the phone rang, and Tom said she got a. Oh no, this was an hour earlier. I'd say it's about 10 o'clock he rang. And he said that she had to get the bed turned. So I said, I'd say pray for her at Mass. So the next thing was I was about to go out the door when the phone rang. And he said, she's after passing away now.
Yeah.
So that was Easter Sunday. So I knew there'd be no arrangements made. So the following day, that morning, I rang again, and they said that she was reposing at home, you know.
Yeah.
So he said, I'll come. No, I got John Carroll to drive me back.
Right. Yeah.
And it was only all the family were in the room, in her own a big sitting room. Of course, they were up in the house, all right. And she was laid out there, and we came home, and I'd be very tired after any bit of an outing,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
No, I came home and I said to John, go away now, says I wanted to lie into bed.
Yeah.
And I lay into bed, and I was sound asleep, and a loud knocking at the door.
Oh God.
And it was a man over there. He'd be sort of far out relation. He had a brother, a TD.
Yeah.
Or, ready here, the mass in the funeral mass was I forget 12 o'clock, I think. So someone came here for me, but one of Mike Murphy's family came, and the fellow that was getting married, and he took me back, and of course we went to the house first, and I
This is
said,
back to Milltown, Milford.
Milford.
Yeah.
We went to the house first, like, and you see, they'll be sitting to the car, and I said, look, I want to be in the church before anyone, because I don't want to be struggling up, do you know what I mean? So I was delighted I did it. I went away and I was inside the church before the funeral arrived in.
Yeah.
And
So it was a good time then.
the family. And then when the mess was over, the funeral took off about a couple of miles, I don't know how many miles out from Milford to the
Well,
to
the burial ground, the cemetery. Yeah.
So it was a cold and wet day. So I said, I wouldn't be able to stand down. I have to stand for long.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll stay here in the car and I can say my prayers there. So, which I did. And they were away, I suppose, I don't know, 3/4 of an hour. And he came back and we came home. And they changed. Here, the mess in the funeral mess was, I forget, 12 o'clock, I think. So someone came here for me, but one of Mike Murphy's family came, and the fellow that was getting married, and he took me back, and of course we went to the house first, and I
This
said,
is back to Milltown, Milford. now.
Milford.
Yeah.
We went to the house first, like, and you see, they'll be sitting into the car, and I said, look, I want to be in the church before anyone because I don't want to be struggling up, do you know what I mean? So I was delighted I did it. I went away and I was inside the church before the funeral arrived in.
Yeah. So
And
it was a good time then.
the family. And then when the mess was over, the funeral took off about a couple of miles, I don't know how many miles out from Milford to the
the burial ground, the cemetery. Yeah.
So it was a cold and wet day. So I said, I wouldn't be able to stand down. I have to stand for long.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll stay here in the car and I can say my prayers there. So, which I did. And they were away, I suppose, I don't know, 3/4 of an hour. And he came back and we came home. And they changed. She asked a few questions, what year have I? And oh, sure, she said, they thought I was getting Alzheimer's.
Yes. Yeah. I guess. So you put them straight on that one.
I did, but you see, that's just tell you I'm not able for it. If I went there today now, I'd be pure.
Yes. Well, maybe you're just a bit overtired then and disoriented from that.
I
so-
would have. Very little to make me tired.
Yeah. So you have to.
This time of the day I get tired, I go for a rest.
Yes, you should. You have to keep your routine. I think is the important thing.
Yeah, but I should say, I'm all the way the nurse would say that I'm great for the age, like, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
I know, but at the same time, you know, you'd have a lot of.
Well, we all forget things, Eileen. I mean, all the time.
See, I'm able for a little.
Yeah. And you're able to remember things from a long way back.
Oh yeah, of course you can always remember. what way was they stayed a long time and I was jaded out. And the following morning I had an ulcer in my leg. The nurse was going, it was the last time because it is healed now, you know. But it was last 8 or 9 months, a very sore ulcer, so right now. So the nurse came to me and she said, I don't think I need come anymore. She said, there's no oozing, it's all getting scabbed up, you know, which is good. And only that'll fall off. So she started in about I said, I don't know, I'm very tired. I said, I had a couple of busy days at a funeral. So she asked me who was this, and actually she's living around Kilmarnock, but she was from Prayer or something.
Oh, right. Okay.
So she said, and you know, where she come from, God, I can't think of the name. I couldn't think of Ballyena. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she asked a few other questions, and I was all muddled up. I said, where was she when she died or something? And I couldn't think of Milford. And I know it, and I said, well. So look, nurse, I said, I don't know, my head feels queer. I said, I don't know what I'm saying to you. So the following day, didn't the head nurse come out here with a paper, a book and paper, and she asked me questions to name the months of the year from.
Did you get them right?
And then the days of the week, and she asked a few questions, what year have I? And oh, sure, she said, they thought I was getting Alzheimer's.
Yes, yeah, I guess. So you put them straight on that one.
I did, but you see, that's just tell you I'm not able for it. If I went there today now, I'd be pure.
Yes. Well, maybe you're just a bit overtired then and disoriented from that.
I would. Very little to make me tired.
Yeah. So you have to.
This time of the day I get tired, I go for a rest.
Yes, you should. You have to keep your routine, I think, is the important thing.
Sure. When of course, when my George married, they were living back in where they call it Banog.
Banog,
Near
yes,
Coombe.
that's right. That's Dad's old place, isn't it? Yeah. I've been in there a few times to see.
Yeah.
It's just a pile of stones at the moment.
I think it was a thatched house, was it?
It could very well have been.
I'm not sure now.
When Liam was here last, we drove over and we had a look around.
Yeah.
And then we spoke to one of the neighbours there who still remembered Tom from those days. It was quite interesting, that.
But I mean, somebody bought it, but they don't live there, so they don't.
No, it's just.
It's in a long passage. There was other houses, was there?
That's right. Yeah, it's still. You have to go in a lane, but there are no other houses there. There's some. Remember, there used to be a railway line running by there.
I didn't remember
in
that.
in the old days. There are some modern houses, but back a bit. So where the old house in Bamog is still surrounded by fields. You know, no one's built next door to it or in there.
There's no one living.
No. But, I mean, there is a farmer there somewhere, but you can't see.
Someone bought the farm, all right.
Yeah.
But I don't know where he lives.
Yeah.
And they had a couple of orchards, I remember, I think.
There's some large trees there. There might be old fruit trees which have developed a bit.
Yeah, that's nice to go in. Sure, no one challenged you.
No.
You met no one.
No, no.
But
No.
you were talking to someone on the way in, is it?
Actually, on the way back.
Yeah. On the same lane, like.
Yes, yeah, because we could see that he was having a look at us to see what were these two
Of course,
lads up
yeah,
to.
yeah.
So we went up to him and just asked him. We explained who we were, and
That was right. That
and
was
then
the proper thing to do.
yeah, and then he said, "I remember and then we got to talking, and
Was he an elderly man?
he was elderly, but he was still very very sprightly, you know?
Yeah.
And what he did, we exchanged emails, and then he sent on some photographs of Dad when he was in the what's the young hurley thing called, when you're playing hurley, but not the junior one. What's it called? Yeah. Anyway, Dad in the team there, so that that was an interesting encounter.
Yeah, it's really lovely to see photos when he was young.
Yeah.
So your father never showed any interest after leaving. I don't think he ever wanted to go back.
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, you remember he went to that agricultural college.
He did.
And
You see, he was a very good scholar, and he went to school in Charleville, and he got a scholarship, but they didn't want to let him go.
Yeah.
Because what he told me afterwards that they were elderly for like the parents when he was born,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
And they didn't want him to go, and he didn't want to go against him. And he had no interest in the farm really. So then he insisted afterwards when the mother died then, he insisted he was going to go to college.
Yeah.
So you see, he got qualified as a farm manager. And then they were married. I suppose they were only about a year behind her.
Yeah. So did Josephine ever go and live up there?
She was.
Did Josephine ever go and live in the Bamog area? When Mum got married?
Yeah.
Where did they live first?
Well, they lived back in the old house.
Right, in Bamog.
Huh?
Up there in near
No,
Croom.
they came on then and they told, let's see, they told my mother, she was upset about it, that they were selling out and going to England. And he went over to England, he got a job with a lady snag. And
As a farm manager.
as a farm manager, and what suited him to the ground, he was going around in his big truck to shows,
Yes.
with show cattle for shows, you know.
Yes. Yeah,
And I suppose they sold lady a snag, and then Josephine told me that there was a pig manager, you know, manager of a pig farm, and she was friendly with the woman, and the woman asked her to come to tea tomorrow, you know, we'll say.
Yeah.
And she went, and she said, it was great to write to me. She said, she wrote and she visited this woman for the afternoon tea.
Yeah.
And she went in and sat down. She didn't say anything about work on the house, and of course they'd be only belonging to the lady snag. And she brought on the cup of tea, but there was no such thing as biscuits that Josie couldn't get over. Is she forgetting the cake, you know?
Yeah, yes.
In Ireland. But in England, I believe, you get a cup of tea, and that's not a big deal.
I think it would be strange there as well. So you just got the tea and no biscuit.
Yeah, nothing. and then he got a job. And I got such a job to me, you know, the old people, every inch of ground was treasured.
Yes.
If we had that, to think that Tom Ryan sold his farm to go off to England to be working for someone else. Imagine, to see, going, selling his farm and going out, you know.
It's not done. Well.
So then, when that job fell through, he went, I think he was driving buses for a while.
That's right, yes. Cheltenham.
He was also trained doing this yoga, not yoga, what you call it?
Judo.
Judo.
Yes.
And he got so good at that he was able to teach it, and that brought in a few pounds too. Different times there wasn't big money going this on.
No.
So then they were living in Cheltenham, and my mother and myself went over for a visit home, and they were staying in this big house that belonged to the old lady, and well, they were very nice. No, I think she had her own house. No, they had their own house, and all that kind of thing.
So what was it? Lady Stack. What was her name?
Snag. Lady Snag.
Snag.
I'll never forget the name. They were with her for a good while, and then she was very friendly with this old lady too. And then the job fell through, and they went up to London, I think, with the buses. And Cheltenham, what were they doing in Cheltenham? They were living in Cheltenham. Someone with the bus went over. We stayed with them for, I think, that was a week. And we used to go out for a walk. And I remember we'd be going along the street. Only my mother and myself, I don't know where Jordan was this time. We wouldn't go very far, we wouldn't get lost. And this woman, we were walking along, and this woman was coming on with a little pet dog. Come on now, darling, she said, we'll be home soon. And the little dog had a cap on him.
Wow.
And we never sounded like we were smiling away at us. And we, several times afterwards, we hear, I mean, if I was walking along the street in Limerick and talking to my dog, of course
they do it all the time now. People talk to their dogs all the time now.
They're just chatting away with their dog. And so this lady, the woman that owned this, whatever they were saying, I can't think of it now, and she invited us to tea to another day. It wasn't Lady Snag, no, I thought it was a later, whatever job he had. And she had a little dog, and we were sitting at the table, and the little dog was sitting in his own chair, up to the table.
Yes.
Cheltenham. We weren't, that's a different, another place.
That's, yeah. It's a little bit west, I think, of, west of London, or out towards Somerset.
So he used to take us out driving, and
he had a car then, I suppose. Did
oh
he?
yeah, oh yes, oh, of course he has.
I think I have a photograph
I
of
don't
that
think
car.
Joseph, did Joseph ever drive?
I don't think so. No.
I don't think so either. She couldn't drive in those places, and if she didn't learn at home,
Yeah.
I doubt
No,
it.
I doubt it.
Well,
I never remember her
lots of
driving.
people we got married in 1951, and there was only about 2 other cars around the road. So you know what the cars.
It was a rare event.
They have 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah. It was horse and trap, I suppose.
Oh yeah, pony and trap.
Pony and
We used to
trap,
go up in a
right.
pony and trap to Charleville,
Yeah.
and to the great trees.
Mm.
And that's like my father and my mother and myself. We went to Limerick one time in the pony and trap.
Oh, wow.
I don't know
Yeah.
why, because he was buying, my father was great. There was one shop in Limerick where they sell clothes, and he'd buy a whole heap of clothes for there was no,
Yeah.
not like today, you couldn't go out and buy when Josie was small.
Well, yes. Not in the same way you can buy now, I suppose.
Oh, she'd have to choose it herself.
Mm.
Oh no, they
Yeah.
got very stylish. Oh, she
Yeah.
was. So they were always within when they were in England, and they came home to visit the hill, and there was a couple of children there. I think Kieran was the third, wasn't he?
Mm,
And
he was,
I think
yeah.
he was a very young baby,
Mm-hmm.
and they came to tell us that they were going from their immigration to South Africa.
To South Africa, yes.
Oh, don't you know, it was like, we were horrified again,
Yeah.
because little children, going.
Mm.
So off they went, and sure, they were there then, and they went from pillar to post up
Yeah.
there, they were always moving.
Yeah. It was been a long series of.
She could write a book about it. And then when they were living in Johannesburg.
Well, it was Cape Town. Remember, it was Cape Town.
Cape
Yeah,
Town.
yes.
Oh yeah, Cape
yes.
Town. Just talk about Table Mountain.
Yes.
And sure, only for some people would be fed up about that moving.
Mm. Yes.
They loved travelling. They were Table Mountain or Cape Town. They went up to Johannesburg. Then they went
To Salisbury. To Salisbury in Rhodesia was the next move after Cape Town.
where?
Salisbury. It's the capital of Rhodesia in those days.
Oh yeah. I know that Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe as it is
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
that's right,
Yeah.
Zimbabwe.
That's where we were. So I think we were about 7 years in Cape Town, and then
And then did you see they had a hotel. They had a
small hotel.
small hotel.
In fact, they had
and
a
the
hotel.
staff were running that because they bought it as a going concern.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the My mother. She
your
lived
mother.
here for 10 years.
10 years, yeah, yeah.
With
But
my
your father I never heard much about.
Well, there wasn't much to tell. My father was sort of bedridden when I got married. He was not able to go to the wedding. And my mother was a twin.
Yeah.
And her twin was a nun
Mm-hmm.
in Ennis. And the nun was dead ago. My mother lived to be 96.
Yeah.
And my father was something like 82. You see, that time, I have mortuary cards of him all right, but what's to find them now. And when I left home then, Josephine was at home, and my mother. And John O'Leary's mother was Mary Bridget, Mary B.
I remember
she
Mary
was
B,
married.
yes, your sister.
She was married before me.
To Jackie O'Leary.
And they were living in a house, they lived up in Kilmallock in the social housing. And Jackie, the father, Jackie Leary, never, he was a first cousin to John, by the way, they're the same.
All right.
Yeah, John O'Leary, and no, John O'Leary's father and John were first cousins.
All right, yeah.
But anyhow, what was I going to say about him?
So your father was bedridden for
My father,
for a while.
yeah. He was a great farmer and a very handy. I remember he had a workshop outside and he was great for mending things.
Yeah.
They could patch everything long ago. Nowadays, throw it out and buy a new one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And
And where was that? You remember the house we went to see that one year? We walked around.
that's my mother's house.
That was your mother's house.
Yeah.
That was Joanna's, where she was brought up. Your mother,
Joanna, yeah.
my grandmother, your mother.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, you see, my father, there was four, Tom and myself and Joseph and Mary B, four of us, and Mary B had a twin, and she lived to be about 5, and she died. She was a gorgeous little one, and she went to school for a little while, but she didn't get First Communion, and I remember I said to my mother one time, what happened to Aggie? Agnes was her name, Agnes. She said she got delicate. I assume she got TB. It was rampant at that time.
Yes, it could very well be.
And so she died. I can remember her laid out in the bed. I can't remember.
At the age of 5.
About 5, I think she was 5. Around 5 or I don't think she was 6. She wasn't. And she died then. And so my father, I had cousins, and the Reardons, Annie Reardon and Maud and Eiley were my first cousins.
Yeah.
Their mother was a sister to my father. So my father had a sister. My father had a sister, a nun sister, Claire. And he had a brother, a priest, and there's his photo up there, look at him.
Oh, yes.
Father Tom Carroll. And he was ordained in Maynooth. He reminds me, when I look at that now, I can see Tom Carroll's face.
Yeah.
And I think John is a bit like him. But anyway, when John, he was in Maynooth, in the seminary, and there was an old priest in Kilmallock, I forget his name, no, Father Bigley, I think was his name. And he came to visit my father, and they were sitting above at the fire, an open fire, there was all open fires then. And he was telling this, that when I was in, and Tom, he says, Tom was in, he got rheumatic fever.
All right.
And that's a bad thing to. That's what Tom Carroll got that, you see.
Yeah.
They traced it all back to he got it. I remember when he got it. He was only about 13 with a new bicycle to go to Charleville to the brothers. He was a good scholar. But anyway, Father Tom, he wasn't Father then. Tom was in a student, and he got this, and he said, I remember I gave a couple of nights up, he said, sweat running down out of him, pure water, mopping him up. And then he got all right, and then he was ordained a priest, and then he was appointed out to Australia. Oh God, I know the name now. Anyway, and he went out there. He was 28 years of age when he was ordained, and then he was sent out to Australia.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And,
John Carroll.
Father Tom Carroll.
Father
Well, of course, that was before my time now, and.
So where did you all live then, when as children? Was it in Kilmallock? Were you? Where was the family house?
Oh, the hill.
The hill. You were brought up at the hill, yeah. So it was.
Which I was before my time.
Yeah.
And it was the hill house that time, because Tim didn't call you. Tim is all interested outside.
No, it's not much inside, I guess.
I got said about Peter Watson now.
Yeah. So she married and moved over to Milford.
Well, she was in this, she was beautiful looking girl. She was beautiful. And she was awfully exact. She was great for style. Everything would be just.
Yeah.
She could go into a shop and I was like going to. She was great to select for me. I wouldn't be great, you know.
Yeah.
And she herself and her neighbour, they were kind of far out relation. Oh yes, I was saying that's how they met. So she went to this Dunbarna.
All right, for the festival.
Yeah. Well,
the matchmaking festival.
Yes. Well,
and it worked.
Couldn't notice for it that time.
Yeah.
But I mean, this fellow was from outside Milford, very well off farm, as I say, in a couple of 100 acres. So anyone would fall in love with her, for she was lovely, and very, she had lovely head of hair now, she had a lovely wavy hair, nice hair, and that would be kept to perfection. And she just wouldn't throw any old thing on her and walk away.
She's quite stylish.
She'd just shake it up and all this. But anyway, she met this fella, and of course he had fell in love with her, for she was abusive. And you know, he kept in touch with her afterwards, you know, found out who she was, and they were big enough for the, you know.
Yes. You would research the
even
person.
John's people, they had, you know, they had a good bit of land themselves, they were considered fairly well off, you know. And then they had two uncles, they lived down in Drummond, and they were Nashers, and they had an awful lot of cattle, you know, they were very well off. And, you know, they got, no, they didn't get much after him. He left it on to another sister. But, so anyway, that's how they met then, and they kept in contact, and then, you see, that's how he could come to ask, you know, come to the house to be, they wouldn't just, they'd have to, the father did an investigation.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You have to come and be presented, I suppose.
Yes,
yeah.
Oh yeah, it was always asked.
And be interrogated.
Yes, yeah. Oh yeah, to make sure that they were all right, like. So John Watson, there was a good few of them there too. But as I say, they were, oh, she went into a lovely house. You know, the beautiful furniture, you know, I often say compared to here, when we got married, our times were different. And this was a house where it was John's father inherited this from an uncle. John's mother came out of here.
Yeah.
And
so this is where this house here in Bohoro is from.
This is Bohoro, and the old man that was there, he left it to John's father. And you see, at the time, then John's father, the family were young. Yeah. And it was 20 years afterwards that John got it here, came down here. So you see, John was the eldest of the sons, and there was a younger fellow that he got the better do, like he got the, you know, more land, I suppose. So there was John had to buy a bit of extra land, you know. You would have to be considered big today, you know.
So that's
how it is. You were talking about matchmaking. See, just that if you travel out, you might meet someone.
Well, I'll look at. I suppose you would. Yeah.
You might, like they didn't say you would, you know. But I suppose, what kind of talk would Tim have for you now? Was it farming or what was he? Did he talk much?
Tim?
that's what I say now, that's the family and how they all have to wait. My mother said, you see, she had to wait until all the other sisters were gone.
Yeah.
And of course, the eldest sister was probably married young because she had two sons farming, good,
Yeah.
big farms if you
Yeah.
like, she was able to do. So I say she got a good chance, like she got and
A good break from.
she had two priests, and one of the priests lived to be 106.
Wow.
First cousin of mine. He was back in Ballingarry, back West Limerick. I said, I don't want to be hanging around that long.
No, that is.
Wonders, my God.
That is a long, long time. But you know, if and was he still able
was,
to? You know,
up to-
yeah,
In the end, he was able to say mass from the chair.
yeah,
But I don't think he was. I don't know if it was in the church or not. But he had a great housekeeper. She's still alive, I think. She's a nurse, or she was a nurse at home. So, Mary Carroll then was over in the nursing home. She started to get Parkinson's.
I remember that.
And
Yes, yes.
Then it got so bad she wouldn't be able to carry on. And I said to her one time, you should get Tim to come in there and see you making the dinner. There's a man, Kiss, my home head was to go up the road to a fine, lively man.
Yeah.
I suppose he might be 80, I don't know what age he is. And he has to have, she has to get his dinner. So you see, I can't dictate to Kit what time to come.
Yeah.
She has to be out in the morning about 8 o'clock to get a woman out of bed and dress her.
Oh, okay.
And
She's doing that. She does that all day long. Then does she?
all day long.
Doing these
That's
various
what I'm saying,
visits.
all day long. So she's entitled to a good holiday.
Indeed.
But I don't think it's fair. A person that should be going in, she'd be time to have an hour or so for her dinner, and then she's working about 8 o'clock at night. So I said to her, money is not worth that kind of thing at all. You can't run yourself into the ground. What's it all about?
That's a long day then.
It is. Don't you know half the time they're tired?
And you can make mistakes then, you know, if you're tired too.
Well, you can't. I wanted her to come as a live and it would suit me better. And then if she's coming at 1 o'clock, I have to do the most of it myself. Before I go to Mass this morning now, I had the house tidied.
And what would she do when she came in here?
She'll
What
go
does she
down
do?
and make my bed.
She'll make the beds and
And she'll sweep the floor.
okay,
And she'll put a big cloth in there. It was up there. I do it myself, but I haven't done today. And she'll put the wet cloth down on the floor and we'd get the brush and mop it up.
So she'll give a
She
good.
wanted me to get a mop, and I said, I bought a mop, and you said it wasn't suitable. It was a spongy thing, you know.
Yeah.
She said,
One of these flat ones that she prefers the old-fashioned one. Does she?
yeah, well, I said, I paid $12.50 for that now. I said, I'm buying no more.
Yeah.
I mightn't be out of here. I'm only here from day to day.
Yes.
They want me to talk that way, but that's just reality.
Let's hope, Eileen, that you've got a good few years left in you.
Well, we don't know. So no one knows the day nor the hour. We're told to that in the Gospel as late as last Sunday, the day nor the hour.
Yeah.
And if there's nothing else, you could be killed on the road. gee.
Now listen, Eileen, I've got to press on because I've got to get back to Dublin this evening.
Will you call for a meal on the way up? You're staying, I'm staying in the hotel.
Yes. Well, I'm staying at Dad's place.
Oh, are you?
There's a guest room in the complex, so I use that.
Oh,
So I
right.
have my own bathroom and bed and everything, and I'll get a meal then later on when I'm there.
Will you take in a bit of food or what will you do?
I don't know. No, I generally eat out when I do. I'll go somewhere to eat.
You'll be able to cook a bit yourself?
No, I'll just go to a restaurant and.
Or you take him out?
I don't know. I don't think he's up for going out in the
Yeah.
evenings.
But if we don't, so I guess a takeaway for him.
Maybe I'll see what he wants, but he doesn't have a big appetite. So
Yeah, but you have some idea what he'd eat. But
Yeah.
look at this one thing about me, I have a great appetite.
Mm.
I'd be there now and I'd have my dinner, I'd have carrots and I'd be some turnip going with
Yeah.
it, and I'd have them prepared tonight for
Yeah.
tomorrow. And I'd have
well, that's good. That's good.
yeah.
Well, listen, Eileen, I'll see you the next time.
I'd be slow getting ready and
Yes.
putting
No,
on clothes and
I think Dad's a little bit like that as well. You know,
yeah.
if he has to go out anywhere, it's a long
Yeah,
process. You know,
I was
and,
asking for him.
I certainly will
Oh,
do.
no, you should take your time going up and be racing or something.
No, I'll take it easy. I mean, Eileen, as always, be good.
I'll be good.